Well, good morning to you. Welcome to Job 19. It's titled Job Trusts in His Redeemer. And if you remember yesterday, Bildad had some not so kind things to say to Job. And here is Job again speaking about his trust in Jesus. And I'm going to pick it up in verse 13. This is where all of his friends, families, and everybody he knows is pretty much estranged from him. He says, he has removed my brothers far from me, and my acquaintances are completely estranged from me. My relatives have failed. My close friends forgotten me. Those who dwell in my house, my maidservants, count me as a stranger. I'm an alien in their sight. My breath is offensive to my wife. Even young children despise me. My close friends abhor me. And those whom I love have turned against me. This is, he's got his brothers, acquaintances, relatives, friends, people that work in his house, everybody, even his wife is offended by him. Everybody is offended by him. But hear Job. Hear what he says. Hear what he says in verse 23. Oh, that my words were written. Oh, that they were inscribed in a book. You see, he knows all this stuff is going on around him and to him. But still, God keeps track of what we say and how we react and what we do. You see, there is a book for each and every one of us. See, the Bible talks about the books. You see, there is a book written for each and every one of us since before we were formed in the mother's womb. You see, God tells us in Jeremiah that before I formed you in the womb, I think it was 1:5 or 1:7, before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Jesus says, I leave the Holy Spirit, and he will remind you of the things that I have said. You see, I believe those things that Jesus has said is not just while he was on the earth, but it was also while he knew us before we were in the womb. How did he know us? And what are those things that he said? They are all written in a book for each and every one of us. You see, each and every one of us has a book. You see, in that book, we are going to be judged on how we fulfilled what is in that book, whether we fulfilled it or not. You see, each one of us has a special calling. Each one of us needs to fulfill what God created us to do. You see, and the Holy Spirit brings that stuff back to us that God told us before he formed us. He knew us and told us that stuff, told us what was in the book. And the Holy Spirit is here to bring that stuff out of us. Whatever you're called to do is here to bring that stuff out of us. And in verse 25, Job says, For I know that my Redeemer lives, and he shall stand at last on the earth. Which is really cool. You see, Job is saying, no, I know God is my Redeemer, and he lives. And I want you to hear what he says to his friends. He says, if you should say, how shall we prosecute him? Verse 28, since the root of the matter is found in me. Be afraid of the sword for yourselves, for wrath brings the punishment of the sword, that you may know that there is judgment. What is he saying? Let's go to Matthew 7:2. I want to read this to you. For with what judgment you judge, you will be judged, and with what measure you use, it will be measured back to you. Job is simply telling them, you need to watch your words, because how you're coming at me is how you're going to be judged by God. And you're going to be judged on what is written in that book for you. And how you're judging me is probably not written in that book. So, guys and girls, I love you all. I hope you have a super day. Please pray for your brothers and sisters. I love you all.